Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Ashta Sakis, Srimad Mahaprabhu ki jai, Giri Govardhan ki jai, Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Pancha Tattva ki jai, Shiva Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naranam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhagavati Uttama-shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 9. Brahma's prayers for creative energy. Text 30. Bhūyas, tvam, tapa, ātiṣṭha, vidyām, caiva, mad-āśrayām, tābhyām, antar-hṛdi, brahman, lokān, drakṣyasy, apāvṛtān, bhūyas tvam tapa ātiṣṭha, vidyāṁ caiva mad-āśrayām, tābhyām antar-hṛdi brahman, lokān drakṣyasy apāvṛtān, bhūyas tvam tapa ātiṣṭha, vidyāṁ caiva mad-āśrayām, tābhyām antar-hṛdi brahman, lokān drakṣyasy apāvṛtān. Let's repeat. tābhyām antar-hṛdi brahman. Vidyāṁ caiva mad-āśrayām. Vidyāṁ antar. Lokān drakṣyasy apāvṛtān. Bhūyas tvam tapa ātiṣṭha. Vidyāṁ caiva mad-āśrayām. tābhyām antar-hṛdi brahman. drakṣyasy apāvṛtān. Vidyāṁ caiva mad-āśrayām. tābhyām antar-hṛdi brahman. lokān drakṣyasy apāvṛtān. Bhūyas tvam tapa ātiṣṭha. Vidyāṁ caiva mad-āśrayām. tābhyām antar-hṛdi brahman. lokān drakṣyasy. Bhūyas tvam tapa ātiṣṭha. Vidyāṁ caiva mad-āśrayām. lokān drakṣyasy apāvṛtān. Thank you. Word for word. Bhūyaḥ. Again. Tvam. Yourself. Tapaḥ. Penance. ātiṣṭha. Be situated. Vidyāṁ. In the knowledge. Cha. Also. Eva. Certainly. Mad. My. āśrayām. Under the protection. Tabyām. By those qualifications. Antaḥ. Within. Hṛdi. In the heart. Brahman. O brahmana. Lokān. All the worlds. Drakṣyasy. You will see. Apāvṛtān. All disclosed. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada. O Brahma, situate yourself in penance and meditation and follow the principles of knowledge to receive my favor. By these actions, you will be able to understand everything from within your heart. Purport. The mercy the Lord bestows upon a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto him is beyond imagination. But His mercy is received due to our penance and perseverance in executing devotional service. Brahma was entrusted with the work of creating the planetary systems. The Lord instructed him that when he meditated, he would very easily know where and how the planetary systems must be arranged. The directions were to come from within, and there was no necessity for anxiety in that task. Such instructions of buddhi-yoga are directly imparted by the Lord from within, as confirmed in Bhagavad-gītā 10:10. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Valita Shri Vishakam Vitam Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Anchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. This verse is not quoted here. Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam tena mam payanti te. To those who are constantly devoted to me, I give the knowledge by which they can come to me. This is now Lord Krishna speaking to Brahmā after he heard his prayers, and he's encouraging him to not be in anxiety, as is stated here, but to reassure him that he has already given him his mercy. And what is most noticeable in this purport, and I wanted, of course, to speak about this, but I see even in this book it is underlined, a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto him is beyond imagination. And this beyond imagination is really what we are witnessing in the past 60 years, since Srila Prabhupada took his journey to New York. I was watching recently a video of Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur in 1973, and it's unrecognizable, because in 1973 there was nothing here except a few huts, and the Lotus building was just under construction, and everywhere were just fields, which used to be rice fields, but at that time I don't know if they were growing rice. And all that could be seen is yoga pit in the distance. Now you can imagine now that from here we could see yoga pit. It's not possible because there are so many buildings between temple and yoga pit. And this is really beyond imagination what has been constructed in Mayapur in the last 50 years. That we have not only temple, so many guest houses, prasadam halls, thousands of pilgrims coming every day, but also so many residential buildings, apartments, and north, west, south, in all directions. When those first devotees came to live here, the conditions were very austere. They had to live in a hut because there was nothing, no building. Also, the bathing facilities were very austere. They had no choice but to take a bath near the water pump, and the toilets were just holes in the ground. So we sometimes hear stories from, there are still devotees who live here from that time, and we can't imagine how it was like for them, because today we come here and we have apartments, houses with AC and all the possible facilities, and this is certainly beyond imagination. Many governments, they try to build like a new city, new residential areas, and they build buildings, but then somehow, because there is not good arrangement, nobody moves in, nobody comes there, and these buildings just stand empty or even are not finished, and then these facilities are becoming known as ghost towns, because houses are there, buildings are there, but people don't move in. But in Mayapur we see that so many devotees move in. Sometimes it's mentioned 5,000 devotees, 8,000 devotees. So we are really, how to say, building a city here. And yesterday Jamashtami Prabhu mentioned this point, how when Srila Prabhupada went to West, and he was not at the beginning successful, seemingly, and moving from different places and trying to preach, and it was very difficult for him because he practically went to USA, America, without any resources, and he also did not have many connections. So I wanted, this was very interesting to me. I like to know all the places where Srila Prabhupada used to live, so I want to go through all these places that he stayed. So first he stayed in Butler, Pennsylvania with a young couple from India, Sally and Gopal Agarwal. Then he somehow got connection in New York, so he was very eager to go to a bigger city. So he moved in with ashram of Dr. Ramurti Mishra, who was impersonalist yoga teacher, and he allowed him to stay with him. But he didn't understand Vaishnava philosophy, so he allowed Srila Prabhupada to cook there or to sing kirtan, but he didn't like him to speak. And then later, Srila Prabhupada moved to another address, Riverside Drive, which was beside Hudson River on the 14th floor. This was still a place of this yogi, Dr. Mishra, and later he could not stay there, but he again moved to Hatha Yoga studio on the 5th floor in the 72nd street. And it was mentioned in Prabhupada Lalitamrita that in this place he didn't even have the facility to cook, but he had to go to this ashram of Dr. Mishra to cook there. And while he was on this, while he had this room in 72nd Street, there was a thief who broke into his room and he stole what little possession he had, his typewriter, his tape recorder. And it's explained that Srila Prabhupada suspected that the janitor of the building was the thief. So he didn't want to stay there anymore because he thought this person can anytime come in and steal again. So then he had a proposal to move into a Bowery 94, which was at that time really bad neighborhood, place of ruined and homeless alcoholics. And even one electrician who used to stay in this previous address warned him not to go there because it's very dangerous, so many criminals are loitering in the street. But for Srila Prabhupada, he didn't really mind this such environment, because this place was a loft, which is apartment which was made from some 19th century industrial factory, and then they renovated this place so that there are some facilities for cooking and for bathrooms. But this was still a huge place, like a studio. So this Srila Prabhupada liked very much, and he thought this is a good place to start a temple. And the only condition was that he stays with this young boy, David Allen, who was paying sub-rent. So they two were living together. And Srila Prabhupada, he was cultivating him to become devotee. And at first, this young boy was favorable, and he would stay in the morning, listen to class. Srila Prabhupada started to have programs there, and actually he was already considering him as one of his disciples, because at that time already some other people were coming, and Srila Prabhupada thought that this is such a good place to start his preaching facility and the temple. But what happened is that one day this boy, who was still attracted to drugs, he took a lot of drugs, and he had like a violent episode. So Srila Prabhupada then walked out, and he could understand that he cannot stay there anymore. So then he called this another person who used to attend his classes, Carl Jürgens, who later became Karlapati. And then he explained to him what happened, and that he cannot go back because this boy is becoming violent under the influence of drugs. So then this Carl Jürgens welcomed him into his own loft, which means again this a big space with facilities for living, like a factory floor. And but Carl Jürgens was married. He had a wife. So at that time, Prabhupada was living with this married couple. And this was mentioned that his wife was not favorable, that she was materialistic, and she didn't like that Srila Prabhupada would stay there. So then Michael Grant, who later became Mukunda Goswami, he found another place at the 22nd Avenue, and this is where the Srila Prabhupada got his first temple in New York, and where all his programs started. This was like a storefront, and Srila Prabhupada had his room and apartment on the first floor. And then all these first devotees started coming, and after some time Srila Prabhupada founded ISKCON, and he initiated his first disciples, and then those first disciples started to move to another towns and cities and open centers there. And then Srila Prabhupada started traveling around the world and visiting all his centers. So what is interesting, that during this period when he was practically without a residence and without disciples in New York, that we don't get a feeling when reading these accounts that Srila Prabhupada was in any way dejected or sad or discouraged, or that he had some kind of crisis, and that he was having some kind of dark night of the soul, where he was not sure if his mission will be successful or not. On the contrary, we have statements, because at that time he was writing to his god brothers and inviting them to come, or to send some resources to start this mission. He was happy that when he moved to this Riverside Drive, he said that now he has address, and that people can write to him from India to this address. So in those letters he's explaining that everywhere is my home. Home for him was not a matter of bricks and wood, but of taking shelter of Krishna in every circumstance. And without Krishna's shelter, the whole world would be a desolate place. So for him, it didn't matter if he would be successful or not, or if he would become leader of a big organization or not. He left this result of his endeavor for Krishna. And we know today that he was very, very successful, that everywhere we go around the world, there are Harinam parties, there are temples, there are communities, restaurants, books being distributed on the street, Ratha Yatras, and many programs, Kirtan. So it's hard to imagine that 60 years ago it all started from one person taking a boat trip, and nothing was there, and that he created all these facilities. It is said that he created a house for a whole world to live in. And indeed, we are today living in his house that he created and that his disciples created. I know sometimes people say, especially if they live in some ashram, in a temple, they say, if there was not for this movement, I don't think I would be alive, because my life situation was so bad that I had no place to go. And then for me, this living in a ISKCON temple is the only way to live. There are some people who committed their whole life to service while being temple devotees, and it is really this kind of opportunity that Srila Prabhupada created for all of us is very hard to imagine, unimaginable. This is all because he was a pure devotee and he was not acting on this level of karma where he would do something and then expect some results. The level of pure devotion is above piety and also includes the results of all other processes like jnana and yoga, and the person who is a pure devotee is already reached liberation. So he continued even after reaching success and having disciples and temples to visit. He continued to be not affected by all this opulence and riches. And once I was hearing a class that Pankajangri Prabhu was giving here in Mayapur, and he explained, he described how at that time when he visited Mayapur for the first time after devotees moved in, and that when there were no facilities here and they just built this bhajan kutir that we have today for Srila Prabhupada, and he described that, but they were a little bit apprehensive that they cannot welcome Srila Prabhupada in a nice residential house. But he said, no, when Srila Prabhupada got here, he said, unfazed. And then I remembered this word because it was an unknown word for me. It means not worried, disturbed, or surprised. And this we see that he was unfazed while his conditions were not so good. He was not affected by these people stealing from him or not being happy that he stays with them. And he was also unfazed by all the success. So he was equal in both conditions. And this we know is how a devotee should act. He set an example for us, and there are some verses from Bhagavad-gītā which describe, there are quite few. I want to read them because I want to give evidence how this is very important for a devotee to act like this. So one is 2:38. Sukha dukkha same kritva labha jaya jaya tato yudaya yujyasva naivam papam avapsyasi. Do thou fight for the sake of fighting without considering happiness or distress, loss or gain, victory or defeat, and by so doing you shall never incur sin. So this was what Lord Krishna was saying to Arjuna. And then in 12, 13, 14, Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankara sama dukkha sukakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma trida nishchayaha mai arpita mano buddhir yomad bhakta same priyaha. one who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed in me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. And then again, 14, 22, 25. This is quite long. Prakasham cha pravritim cha moham eva cha pandava na dveshti sam pravritani na nivritani kankshati udasina vad asino guna ryona vichalyate guna vartanta ityevam yo ātiṣṭhati nengate sama sukha dukkha sukha svasta sama loštashma chkanchanaha tulya priya priyodiras tulya nindatma samstutihi mana pamanayas tulyas tulyo mitrari pakshayo sarvaramba parityagi gunatita sa uchyate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities. Such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. And also there is 2:15. Yam hina vyatayantyete purusham purusharshaba sama dukkha sukham dhiram so nrita tvaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. So this is the standard of behavior and of attitude. And what is remarkable or beyond imagination is that Srila Prabhupada expected this standard from his disciples also. And when he sent them to different places, cities, to open new centers, this was how to say, they were also going into unknown places without any resources, just as he went. And he was expecting them to create a center with practically without any help. And what is so wonderful is that by his mercy that they were able to do this. And when we hear today the stories from those early days, it's hard to imagine that they accepted these conditions. I like the story how in Juhu that when they were taking prasadam, because the plot was infested with rats, that they had to watch out because the rats were walking in the wall or in the wires above them, and there was sometimes the rat would fall down into their plates. So who would stay in such circumstances? Also, when the first couple of devotees went to Delhi, some old man offered Srila Prabhupada to stay in his house, and he immediately took opportunity and sent his devotees there and to try and open a center. And then it is described in many biographies that this place was just concrete floor, so they had to sleep on a mat, on a concrete floor. And then one day this man, he asked them, he had a lot of used batteries, and he asked them because he thought, because they are from America, that they would know how to recharge those batteries. And then these first devotees realized how this man is actually a poor man, and he does not understand that batteries, once they are used, they cannot be recharged. So there are many stories like this, and we today are enjoying facilities of all those efforts of first devotees doing what Prabhupada asked them to do. And we know that even Mayapur temple and Vrindavan temple were built because devotees in America were selling books on the streets and collecting money from the sales of the books and the magazines, and then they were sending money here so that these temples could be built. And they were instructed not to perform work and not to be attached to the results of their work. And today, and then they did, because if they didn't move here, so they had absolutely no results from their hard work. But we are the ones who are enjoying the results of their work very much, because we live here very nicely, and we have a beautiful temple being built. So I guess what we can ask ourselves is that, are we only enjoying facilities that others created for us, and feeling maybe, yes, we deserve them because somehow we are also we are worthy of such facilities, or do we also think that just as others did work that they were not enjoying results of, that we should also do some work that maybe we will not enjoy results of, but some other people in the future may enjoy results, and that are we also following Srila Prabhupada in this regard, Srila Prabhupada and his disciples also, because this is his legacy. We have a mission to continue, and the standard of activity in this mission is to act for the benefit of the whole world, and not to just do karma yoga and think for what oneself, in a sense, what is it in it for me, as they say, because that is not what would please Srila Prabhupada or our acharyas. Yes, this I ask myself this question because when I was going through this story, how Srila Prabhupada moved in with this married couple, Carl Jurgens, that his wife was not happy, because I was thinking, it's described that she was materialistic and not so favorable. But my thoughts were, because I am also a wife, and which wife would be happy if her husband would bring home some elderly sannyasi who is on a mission to establish Krishna consciousness as prime necessity for all humanity. So his mission was to make the whole world Krishna conscious. So which wife really would be happy to have somebody like this just move into their living space? Because married couples, they need privacy, they need some how to say, it's some yes, personal space, but also they need to be themselves in this space. While you can imagine how the standards of somebody like Srila Prabhupada are so high. He was very his dealings were very, his behavior was on a very high level. And I asked myself this, in such situation, or that this David Allen found himself, that what if Srila Prabhupada would move in without any announcement into my living space? How would I behave? How would I react? Would I be like those two persons, kind of inimical, or would I be able to accept that yes, this person is on a mission and I should tolerate some inconvenience and help him? So this was an interesting meditation, that what would I do if Srila Prabhupada would suddenly move in. And we can see those persons, they had such a good opportunity. Suddenly they had association of a great saint, and if only they did something little bit to help him, they would achieve such benefit going back to Godhead. And somehow they missed opportunity. Of course, in the material world, we are all covered by gunas, and it's hard to recognize a saintly person, and it's also hard to imagine such a mission, that it's possible. He had no doubt that such mission was possible, and indeed it proved to be possible, because after he got some followers, that he replicated his own method of opening center, preaching, kirtan, cooking, prasadam distribution, and inviting people. And then he found out, okay, this works, so it can be replicated all around the world. And this is what we inherited from him. So the difference between karma yoga and bhakti yoga is such that a person is never attached to the results of his activities, and is equal to all the happiness and distress that comes from living in the material world. As such, Srila Prabhupada demonstrated that he's an example of what in Lord Chaitanya said in Shikshashtaka, that he prays, what is this verse? Ashlisha padaratam pinashtumam adarsanan marma hatam karotova yata tatava vitadatu lampato mad-prana natastu saeva napara. Let Krishna tightly embrace this maidservant who has fallen at his lotus feet, or let him trample me or break my heart by never being visible to me. He is the debauchee after all and can do whatever he likes, but still he alone and no one else is the worshipable Lord of my heart. This is how we pray. We are followers of Lord Chaitanya. we want that our activities are not motivated by some benefits, but that only pure devotion is what is motivating our actions. So I think all these histories are important to remember, because this was explained by Srila Prabhupada also, that a life of a great devotee becomes, because the great devotee is preaching Srimad Bhagavatam and pure devotion, so then his life in pure devotion becomes example, and that there is no difference. Like in a Bhagavatam class, we can speak about Srila Prabhupada because he is example of pure devotion, and he is example of what we hear in the Bhagavatam. And also all the other great devotees, we speak about them, we speak about their lives. Because what is from the point of view of person giving Srimad Bhagavatam class, what is the difficult part in giving a class? Is it to know the verses? Yes, it's challenging, but that is not so. That is not why giving Bhagavatam class is so difficult. Or is it knowing the philosophy? Philosophy can be learned, and we read, we study, we pick up philosophy. But what is most difficult is that we have to try to become example of what we speak. This is what is difficult. And often I also think I speak here, I give class, I come home, and then I think, oh, did I really say that? Did I really follow that? So speaking Bhagavatam is mostly you preach to others, but you preach to yourself also, because this level of activities and what Krishna consciousness actually is, thinking about Krishna all the time, is a very high level of engagement. So I can stop here if there are any comments or questions or corrections. If not, I can end the class. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Śrīla Prabhupāda ki jai. Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.